Chapter 10, Nutrition, Fitness, and Physical Activity. So the book talks a little bit about Lance Armstrong. We all thought he was a phenomenal athlete, a cancer survivor, 7-time winner of the Tour de France bicycle race, a philanthropist, and a role model for millions with his Livestrong organization. But he admittedly told us he was cheating through being aided by a blood doping regimen, and he justified this by saying that it was impossible to win the Tour de France without doping. There are a few people that face the challenges of athletes like Lance Armstrong, but many of us struggle with the challenges of getting enough physical activity in a world that demands less and less physical exertion. We know that advances in technology have introduced consumers to more and more labor-saving devices. So to stay fit, people have had to allot time for physical activity because it's not part of our daily lives. Physical fitness has always been a priority for our societies, military, our athletes, but idleness and indulgence of elites or the leisure class, or as our jobs become less and less labor intensive for most people, we have to really seek out ways to stay fit. There's been lots of fitness crazes and fad diets litter our history, from jogging and kickboxing, spinning classes, Zumba, from eating your Wheaties to high-carb diet to the all-meat diet. And we know that as technologies and innovation continues, we're to try to help us ease these daily physical challenges and that we face. Likely the honest mega athlete will have to pay a lot more attention to what we eat, and the regular Joe also has to pay attention to how much activity they need to remain healthy. So let's just talk about the basics of physical activity, fitness, and health. We know that fitness is a set of attributes related to the ability to perform routine physical activities without undue fatigue. So what that means is our activities of daily living. We know that physical activity burns calories and utilizes nutrients, and we need those from the diet. So the foods we eat are necessary to fuel our activity and optimize our athletic performance. So there are 4 components of fitness: endurance, strength, flexibility, and body composition. And there's some videos this week that will go into great detail on that. If you haven't heard of the overload principle, what that basically means is the adaptations in the body so that the body can do more. And we're going to go into greater detail on that. But basically, that means the more you do, the more you're capable of doing it. For example, if you're a walker or a runner and you're given a distance 3 times a week, and in a few weeks you can push yourself and run farther. If you're lifting weights or something like that, and you do it for a few days, by the next week your muscles learn to adapt, and you can lift more books or the same books more easily. And these adaptations improve your overall fitness, but we'll go into that in more detail. So let's first talk about respiratory endurance. So that means the efficiency with which the body delivers to cells the oxygen and nutrients needed for muscular activity and to transport waste products from the cells. So Here's a picture of aerobic activity. We think of jogging, bicycling, or swimming. It strengthens the cardiovascular and respiratory systems. And we know that a quick way to keep your activity in the aerobic range is to proceed at a pace that is slow enough to allow you to carry out a conversation, but fast enough that you cannot sing while exercising. That's kind of the rule of thumb. So, how long you can do these activities depends on your cardiorespiratory endurance. So with aerobic exercise, we know that it lowers our resting heart rate because our heart pumps blood more efficiently, so it can pump less often. It increases our aerobic capacity, our VO2 max, which is the muscle's ability to use oxygen to make ATP. And like I said, it increases our cardiorespiratory endurance, and that's the efficiency with which the body delivers the cells, the oxygen, and the nutrients we need and transports that waste away. What about muscle strength endurance? So greater muscle strength enhances our ability to perform tasks such as pushing or lifting. And in daily life, this might even mean lifting a gallon of milk off the top shelf of the refrigerator with one hand, carrying a full trash can out to the curb, or moving a couch into your new apartment. What we know is that greater muscle endurance enhances our ability to continue to be able to do repetitive muscle activity, shoveling snow or raking leaves. Muscle strength and endurance are increased by repeatedly using those muscles in activities that require moving against a resisting force. And that's why we perform muscle strengthening exercises or strength training exercises or resistance training exercises, which might include activities such as weightlifting or calisthenics. But what about flexibility? What does that mean? So flexibility exercises determines our range of motion and improves performance in certain activities, and also helps us reduce our risk of injuries. Flexibility exercises can be static or dynamic, meaning a static stretch such as the one shown in this picture. She's sitting there, she's stretching her muscles. The position that stretches a muscle or a group of muscles to its farthest point is held for about 30 seconds. Dynamic stretching involves motion. It uses controlling and arm swings, torso twists, side lunges to extend muscles gently to their limits and their range of motion. And the combination of static and dynamic stretching that is best depends on their person and their level of fitness or their sport. And when you think of fitness, you may picture someone with bulging muscles, but fitness also involves flexibility. So remember, flexibility determines your range of motion. Can you touch your toes? Regularly moving your limbs, neck and torso to the full range of motion helps increase and maintain your flexibility. And we know that if your flexibility is poor, you can't easily bend to tie your shoes or stretch to remove packages from a car. And being flexible can also enhance our postural stability and balance. And we know that it has been shown to reduce injury in athletes and non-athletes. An exercise warm-up that includes both cardiorespiratory activities and stretching has benefits for certain types of sports like dancing. Body composition. Everybody asks me about body composition. So a physically fit person has a greater proportion of muscle and a smaller proportion of fat than an unfit person of the same weight. So this is where we come into challenges when people, very fit people, use the body mass index charts, because muscle weighs a lot, and BMI index charts don't necessarily take into account body composition, our lean body mass versus our body fat. So the picture on the right shows lean body mass of 75% and 25% body fat, or at a fit male adult has 88% lean body mass and only 12% body fat. So the lower body fat makes them more fit and greater amount of muscle mass. So for young adult women, desirable body fat is 21 to 32% in weight, and in adult men, the desirable amount is 8 to 19%. So what you need to take away with body composition is individuals who are physically fit have a greater proportion of muscle and a smaller proportion of fat than unfit people. But we do know that body fat is affected by gender and age. In general, women store more body fat than men, and young people have usually less body fat, and as you age, you very often tend to have less muscle mass and more body fat. So what are the benefits of exercise? We know it prevents or delays the onset of chronic diseases. We've talked a lot about that. It releases chemical endorphins that may enhance mood and aid in relaxation, pain tolerance, and even control our appetite. It improves our mood, our self-esteem, our vigor, our overall well-being and quality of life. And we know that it reduces depression and anxiety. So health benefits of physical activity cannot be overlooked. It improves our flexibility and balance. It increases our sensitivity of tissues to insulin and decreases the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. It reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease because it strengthens the heart muscle, lowers our blood pressure, and increases our HDL, which is the good cholesterol levels in blood. It reduces our risk of colon cancers and breast cancers. It increases our muscle mass, strength, and endurance. The flexibility and strength improve our joint functions, and weight-bearing activities stimulates bones to become denser, makes our bones stronger, and reduces our risk of osteoporosis. Exercise and weight management. We know that exercise increases our total energy expenditure through increased energy output during the exercise, and energy expenditure, our metabolic rate is still increased for a period of time after exercise, and that lean muscle mass increases our overall metabolic rate over the long term. So here you can see a sedentary individual versus a sedentary plus 30 minutes of moderate activity, and one that does regular exercise, and you can see that our basal metabolic rate increases for a person who regularly exercises. So we're going to stop here. In the next section, we'll talk about exercise recommendations.